An economically secure woman means an economically secure family. 100 years after winning the right to vote, women's right to political participation is a long way from being realised in many parts of the world, particularly at the parliamentary level, as we've heard from Sally. In most Pacific countries, less than 1% of parliamentary representatives are women. In Australia, it was not until 2001 that we saw the first Indigenous woman, Carol Martin MLA, from Western Australia, elected to an Australian Parliament. Empowering women, building their capacity and confidence to contribute, providing pathways and challenging views about what leadership involves, is central to ensuring that as a global community, we can benefit from the skills and ideas of both women and men. We need to recognise that women's current contributions and skills, particularly at a community level, and take deliberate steps to enable them to participate in decision-making. Demystifying processes, providing spaces for women to contribute, talking with existing leaders about the importance of involving women and men. These things need to be embedded in our practices if both men and women are to contribute meaningfully. The Young Women's Leadership School that IWDA supports in a refugee camp on the Thai-Burma border is one example of how you can support women's participation and leadership. The students here are young women from the ethnic Karen minority who have fled internal strife and human rights abuses in Burma. The school teaches human rights and leadership, environmental management and English language skills. It aims to empower young women to have a voice within the camps and to move towards participation as equal partners with men in decision-making. More than 150 women have graduated since the school was built 7 years ago by the Karen Women's Organisation with IWDA's support. This is complemented by an emerging leaders program to strengthen women's confidence to participate in negotiations beyond the community level, so that one day both women and men can be part of building a new future in Burma. And women's participation in peace negotiations and conflict resolution is critical if we are to build lasting security. UN Security Council Resolution 1325, the historic resolution that highlights the important role of women in peace building, peacekeeping, security and conflict resolution, seeks a more participatory role for women and provides a framework for action and for advocacy. So there is much that needs to change for women to get a fair go and for all of us to benefit. Because in the words of former UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan, study after study has taught us that there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women. At the heart of what needs to change are some quite simple steps. First, we all need to stop being gender blind. Stop speaking, planning, acting as if the impact of a regional conflict or a law or a decision about how to share household work and the care of women affects men and women in the same way. It doesn't, and we need to consciously think about and take account of these differences. We need to work in partnership between organisations, between men and women, between governments, business and civil society, between development agencies, local organisations and communities. And our organisations and ways of working need to take seriously that participation is a right that must be available to both men and to women. I don't underestimate how challenging this can be in a world of experts, deadlines and annual budgets, and yet it is at the heart of transforming inequality. I welcome the Australian Government's support for initiatives such as this series as part of increasing the space for participation. We need both women and men to help shape the future if it is to be one that works for all of us. Change won't happen overnight, which brings me to what I see as the two single most important prerequisites for change. And interestingly, they are almost identical to what Sally has spoken about. Gender inequality is a problem that has a solution, but the solution has remained elusive for want of leadership and resourcing. It is estimated that to realise Millennium Development Goal 3 on women's empowerment and gender inequality by 2015 will require some $25 to $28 billion annually in low-income countries. To achieve this will mean reallocating resources and mobilising significant additional resources. We know that such an investment will repay itself many times in better health, improved economic productivity and social outcomes, as well as enhanced security. The Rudd government's commitment to significantly increase Australia's aid budget is a great start, as its recognition that gender is central to development effectiveness. Mobilising the resources needed will require the active support of both the government and the wider community. Conversations like this are an important part of generating the support for gender justice. As individuals and organisations, we need your understanding and commitment to sustain change. The girls in this image are our future. Let us ensure that the joy and faith in their faces is lit by the courage of our empowering actions. Thank you.